Hello, YouTube. It is Zector, back with another Rocket League replay analysis video. In today's video, we will be looking at some champ gameplay. I've gotten a lot of suggestions to look over some lower ranks, try and help you guys get out of these ranks as quick as possible. We're going to get in today. Today is a champ 2 replay, but not much to say. Don't worry, GK video is going to be coming probably tomorrow or the next day. I don't know. It'll come sometime soon. I know a lot of people have been wanting to see that, but let's get right into the video. Alright, getting right into the replay. This is going to be one of the first non-pro replays on the channel. This is Champ 2. We're looking at Ruby, Ideal, Rezi, and Sammy. I'm going to be looking at it from everyone's perspective. Obviously, I want to help you guys get out of Champ in the fastest way possible. And so naturally, taking on more perspectives is going to be really good. Let's look at our cheating players here. We have Sammy and Ideal in this situation. Ideal's a little further back. It's okay if he kind of sits back. Probably best to let his teammate go grab that boost. He could just come up and play this immediately after. I like what Sammy is doing here. This is really good. When you're in champ, you know, try to do things simple. I like he was trying to get a touch there. He wasn't able to do so, but that's a really good idea. Immediately tries to play that 50. This is also another good idea. A lot of players in the lower ranks, they like to force a lot of stuff. In this situation, he kept it nice and simple, made a simple wall for himself. Even if this gets into the corner, he's gonna have a teammate and he might be able to play it himself. So this is really good off the bat. I like that. That was a really weird bounce. But we'll look at this. Okay, Ruby. I can already tell Ruby is going to have a lot of issues. When you have these issues in your gameplay in champ, this air roll problem, right? And I'll explain why this is a problem, but we can see as he's jumping out, I'll play it real time. He's orienting his car in a lot of different directions really quickly, okay? We want to reduce all of that motion to make things a lot simpler for us, all right? We want to make things as simple as possible so that we can get the most consistency out of our gameplay. In this situation, if he just would have simply jumped off like this and continued towards the ball, this is absolutely fine. If not fine, this is the most practical way to go about it because you can see immediately how easy that would have been. But because he oriented his car like this, actually, it became significantly worse for him. I guarantee this is not exactly what we wanted. Obviously, we would want to put shots on net when we can with power, okay? You're not going to be able to do that when you're air rolling like that. Really strong touch by Sammy out. This is good. Going to let his teammate play it, right? You got to trust your teammates, guys, okay? Your teammates are going to be shit sometimes. That's just how it is. Especially in champ, it's a very volatile rank. Sometimes you get old GCs in champ. Sometimes you get a champ player and they're like insane, like they're just cracked out of their mind. In the next game they're not, okay? That's just how it is. But I like this. Use your teammates when you can, right? It's going to build really good habits for when you get into the higher ranks. So I like this a lot. Rezi, I already want to look at this from Rezi, but we can see a lot of air roll, a really weak jump here. We can tell in that jump was very stiff. He's making that motion not as dynamically as he can, right? It could be a lot smoother of a jump. I can already tell this is going to be a player that really struggles getting consistency in the air. I've seen this a billion times, okay? I'm going to put on screen right now. Look, listen, rings maps, okay? Go do rings maps. If you are listening to me right now for a week, do rings maps 1 hour a day, preferably a lot of Lethamir's ring maps. Those are really good. I like this a lot. Or maybe even impossible rings if you really want to get into the nitty gritty. I would stay away from a lot of the speed trial maps because those are just not the best for your improvement. They're more for like actually just racing through rather than actually improving, right? A lot of the motions and turns and movements you'd need to make in a Lethamir's ring map or an impossible ring map is going to give you significantly more improvement a lot quicker. Not saying you can't improve from speed trials. You can, but those are going to be really good. But going back into this, we can see once again just air roll. Guys, listen, lessen your air roll. If he just would have jumped up like this and continued, he would be hitting this ball with so much power. It's ridiculous, okay? But because he did all of those air roll motions, you know, I really want to look into this, right? Because I really need to get into like this into everyone's head. But look at him going up here. You see all of this orientation of boost. You can see he's actually slightly shifting his momentum in a lot of different directions when you air roll like this, right? Versus one continuous lineup. That's going to make you significantly quicker. We want our momentum to be as linear as possible, right? In some situations, it's not going to be that linear, and obviously we're going to have to make adjustments, sure, but you don't want to make unnecessary need for adjustments in your air roll because that's just going to make you inconsistent. And he wasn't able to get something really strong there because of that. So use less arrow would be something good. I like this a lot, playing this slow. A lot of lower ranked players like to really rush stuff, but this is good. What Sammy's doing here, he's just taking his time to set up something good offensive, and you can tell the reason that it works, right, is because players panic in this rank, and because players just start going and they just start panicking. Look at this. Ideal did not need to play like this. And why did Ideal play like this? He's not appropriately looking at threat. All he's seeing is, oh, player in front of ball, I'm scared. Okay, no need to fear. In this situation, Sammy literally really can't do much. And it's also good in this situation, being in Ideal's POV, to know that we have a teammate. Okay, knowing that we have a teammate in this situation makes everything so much easier, right? Because if we know that we have a teammate that's just kind of chilling back in net, we don't have to panic for this. If he shoots it, your teammate is going, you know, probably going to save it. Now, I want to talk about this because this is a really good example, and a lot of players in Champ, like, this is just good to know in general, right? But let's say Ideal knows he has a teammate back and his teammate just jumps and misses it. What could Ideal do differently? Nothing. Okay, and this is something I need everyone to get through your head. When you are playing in this game, this is a team game. Your teammates have to do their role. If Ideal knows he has a teammate and knows this is the better option and he lets it be played back into his teammate, but his teammate misses, that has nothing to do with Ideal and everything to do with his teammate. And sometimes your teammates are absolutely going to, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're going to miss. That's okay. Okay, your teammates are not always going to be perfect, and I think it's important to frame that mindset now, because if not, you're going to get very frustrated and you're going to try and do a lot of compensatory behaviors for your teammates, like staying really close or playing really passively. It's going to hurt you, not your teammates. Build good habits now, because when you have good teammates in these positions, this is going to be really good, because then your teammate can immediately do something out of it. All right, wanted to get that through. But anyway, Ideal could have just played that slower, but really good by Sammy. Oh, I hear it. Yeah, I heard that player going. This is another really important thing. So here's the thing, right? In this situation, this player just sees his teammate and he's just like, yeah, I'm going to go. But what we're not reading in this situation is the amount of space, the amount of distance, and how favorable this is. When you get, even before we get into this situation, that's really important to know. So as soon as Sammy sees the ball like this, there is no demo. Just let Sammy play his options, okay? You don't have to do more than necessary. If anything, you risk putting yourself in a position to be scored on, okay? So a better thing to do in this situation, right, is we can play slow here, and what this does is this lets Sammy either use us as a lane or go forward. It is completely up to your teammate in this situation what they decide to do, but having the threat of this lane can really mess up some lower ranked players that are defending here. So you want to create these lanes for pressure as much as you can. The only reason you should be going for a demo like this is if maybe Sammy and Ideal are shifted back here and there's a lot of space. You have to identify how much space there is before you do something like this, because this could end up really bad. Yeah, no, this might be a goal. Actually, it is a goal. Really unfortunate, but you can see exactly what I'm talking about. You have to identify these things previous, okay? And you can do that by paying attention previous to coming into the situation. Naturally, I talk a lot about thinking in this game, but a lot of stuff is not directly applied knowledge in this game. A lot of stuff in this game is stuff that you build into functional habit, right? So when I say, oh, you need to be thinking about this and this, it's not necessarily that I want you to be consciously thinking it, but you have to consciously think about it at first in order to build it into habit. So things might be a little difficult at first, taking some of the advice and some of the things that I'm saying. You may be thinking a lot more. You may end up feeling a lot slower initially, but those feelings are going to go away over time of you practicing that. So just lock in, right? Trust the process. Okay. I would give it a solid week before you start making like opinionated ways of feeling about it. Ruby, we'll talk about this, but Ruby absolutely could have gotten something different here. They played a fake. They called for a fake. These guys are partied up. So, okay. But in this situation, the reason that Ruby is doing this is because he literally has no idea where that other player is. But we could have known where that other player is. Let's go back, right? So we already know that a player just grabbed full boost and is just now turning in, right? Now, how did I know that, right? That's just literally what's going to happen. You can add a little bit of variation, but what I'm paying attention to in this situation is like, okay, well, where else would that player be? They're not going to just be sitting right there, no boost at all. Like, that just doesn't make sense. They're going to go grab the back boost because that's what typically happens in that situation. So there's only but so much time that it takes to get that back boost. So if I just keep it in my head as I'm playing, like, oh, okay, so when I get down in this position, you know, if this is a better player, like, they're probably going to be a bit closer, but the ultimate solution here is just use your camera. Use your camera. The reason he does this is he just panics, right? But Sammy's playing a lot of distance here. He's a lot further than he thinks. Use your camera more. I look at the camera in this game as I look at like jiggle peeking in a CS or a Valorant. Information in those games is incredibly important. And sometimes having that information prior is going to set you up quite favorably for whatever situation comes next. It's the same way in this game. You have to use your camera. You have to use your camera, okay? There's nothing, I can't say much else, okay? You have to. It is so underutilized in this game. I'll look at this for Mubi. Ends up missing. We do have, here's the thing. This is not very solid position. He could have executed better, granted. But I would much rather a player get out a little more in that situation, get a better angle, right? That would have been really good. Let's look at this. He's deciding to wait here. He does have space to do so, so he can get away with this. Oh, that was, you know, he's definitely not going to be able to go for the ball here, but hey, that's okay. Like, this should still be fine. We have a teammate over here, right? So it's okay. I like this, you know, Ideal, giving Ruby a little bit of space here. Okay, this is fine. That's cool. I don't have any problems with this so far. Sammy, I like the way that Sammy is playing this. I really don't like the way Ideal is playing this, but I like this really big touch into the corner. It's going to be kind of risky for Ideal to super come in here in this situation, but Sammy able to get past him here. But let's look at Ideal. A lot of the reason that Sammy was able to do this isn't necessarily all because what Sammy did was good, but also because what Ideal did was bad, right? And I think this is an important part. If you're in champ or these lower ranks and you're looking at your games, right, it's okay to look at you and yourself and like what you're doing, what you think is well, but you also have to look at the other opponent. Like, could they have played that better? And that's why that happened how it happened, because I feel like players don't take that into account, and they end up having a lot of false correlations and a lot of misconceptions on how some situations in the game are played because of that, right? We want to avoid these false correlations as much as possible, and honestly, questioning yourself is just really, really good in this game, right? Question everything that you do. When I look at replays myself, you know, I'm questioning everything. Even stuff that I think is right, I'm still further questioning it. I mean, I think when you do that process, you're going to gain significantly more knowledge than you typically would otherwise. But in this situation, we can already tell, like, since Sammy did that touch, and, you know, I said Sammy did that touch and that touch was good, and because that touch was good, Ideal shouldn't get closer and he should instead zone, and you can tell that would have given him a better angle to challenge here, right? Really important that we identify that when something is a bit risky, right? Give yourself a little bit of cushion. That little bit of cushion is going to be really good, and how much cushion you give is going to be a little bit dependent on situation, but, you know, the most important part is that you read that you're able to do that cushion to begin with, because then you're going to be able to build off of that. I like this. That's fine by Sammy. I don't have a problem. This should be a goal, actually. Yeah. Let's look at this, though. Ooh, okay. So in this situation, we avoid this really well. But once you put yourself all the way up here, you literally have no choice but to challenge, right? And because you have no choice but to challenge, this ends up coming out, right? But if you would have played a little bit more time here, like, I like this, right? But we have to understand, even after this jump, this is not going to go anywhere. So there's no point in pushing up super heavy. Like, it's not like we have to disrupt a supportive teammate that Rezi has in this situation. So just playing a little bit slower here, right? That would have been really good in this situation, because we could have played a little bit of time, right? Sammy wasn't going to be able to get any strong shot because we knew he was turning in, right? So because we knew he was turning in, we knew he was just going to do some offset, like, shoddy shot like this, or, you know, not the most ideal touch in this situation. So giving yourself a little bit of space can be really helpful. Now, if there is a pocket of space, then going up is okay. Like, if you can notice, like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to be able to occupy this space without much pressure, then yeah, absolutely. But because we knew there was a Sammy coming in there, playing a little bit of space would have been really good. I like this. So far, this is pretty good. Looks like they played it back, right? Oh, no, this arrow. Ruby, lock in, lock in. So, listen. way less air roll. We can tell. I mean, this does not look like the touch we wanted, but regardless, you like as you're air rolling like this, you're reducing and then opening options, and then reducing options and then opening options. Put yourself in one position and give yourself appropriate momentum to be able to be fluid in the air. Okay, when you do stuff like this, you ruin. Like, look at this. That could have been played completely different, right? Just play a little bit less momentum in this situation, you know? We boosted really high, but we're boosting in front of the ball because we're not so much focused on making precise adjustments with our momentum using our air roll, but more so we're just focused on air rolling as much as possible, it seems, right? Because we're making somewhat appropriate, like, changes with our boost here. Like, we're using our momentum somewhat appropriately, but we're putting it in the wrong place because we're air rolling everywhere, right? And that ends up being like this, which is, you know, we could have set up a double touch in this situation, honestly. If we reduce that air roll, reduce that boost, we can get that clean touch over the backboard, maybe go for a double. That's how you're going to set yourself up for that in the future, or even right now, if you can mechanically go for stuff like that. Right here, I don't like what's going on with Ruby in this situation, so immediately we already should have been going out. Even if Ideal gets something here, you don't have boost, okay? So because we don't have boost, it's really important, just dip out, you know? Just dip out, go get you some resources, okay? We don't need to sit here because you're not going to be sustainable, and you're also not going to set something up for your teammates. So this, you know, now we're going to be so much later to getting boost. Like, now we're getting boost, and now we're able to come in, you know what I mean? We want to make this process as quick as possible. Sammy, okay. So, no. When we're in a situation like this, take your time to set stuff up. I can already tell Sammy is a specific type of player where we like to go up for stuff and just do as much as possible, like as much as possible. Okay, we want to reduce this, all right? I can understand where this comes from, but if we just would have set up one nice touch, like we didn't even make sure the touch was set up at all, we're just jumping immediately, right? So already I don't see us getting much out of this. Because you did that as well, you ended up pushing the ball way further away, so now you have to use significantly more boost. But because you use significantly more boost, you're also using more momentum, and the more momentum you have, the harder it's going to be to get rid of that momentum. So you're locking yourself into one thing here. But if we would have made sure to set up that touch and to boost as much as, you know, necessary, and to jump after, that would have been significantly better. I don't see this going well, right? And I knew that was not going to go well because we didn't set it up to be well. Okay, so it's really, really important. Take your time, set those touches up. You know, take your time setting up your offense, okay? It's a good habit to set. You're going to have less and less time to do that as you go up in rank, but at least you're doing it, right? Which is the important part. We'll look at this again from Sammy. Oh, that's fine. You know, I don't disagree with what Rezi is doing. Going to force Ideal to do something here. That's a pretty good touch by Ideal. I don't disagree with that. Okay, this could be played a little better. But in this situation, it's like, when you go really fast like this, it becomes really hard to tell exactly what's going to happen. One thing that we have to immediately recognize in this situation is you don't have to rush this, okay? Take a little bit of time, all right? I'm not saying you have to stop or completely slow down, but slow down a little bit more. Really focus on reading, because we can tell when you just kind of see now this is really bad, right? This is really bad. But even if you would have got that, it might have been kind of good, you know? So we're putting ourselves in a really bad position for some kind of good when we could have guaranteed a lot more good. I hope that made sense. I'm sure you guys get what I mean, though. Okay. We'll look at this. So in this situation, I don't like this angle. This angle is very like panicky, like, oh my god, like I'm terrified. Maybe Ideal, and I can't really say Ideal is going for off-ball value, because I know for a fact that Ideal didn't know there was a player over there. But and yeah, no, he's just driving completely forward, which is, you know, I get it. But in this situation, it's better to play a little bit less through here. The only reason you should play through here is if you're 100% going to go for that demo. If you are going for that demo, then, you know, okay, sure, we could have executed way better. But, you know, I don't disagree with that. If you're going to come in here, have some intention. Like, have some intention with your positionings is a big tip I'd give. If you're going to go into a position, have some intent. Like, if you were to ask yourself after the game, like, why did I do that? You should have a very clear answer. Like, this is what I was looking for. If you find yourself missing a lot of those answers, you need to ask yourself a lot more questions, and you need to question your gameplay a lot more. And you need to be more conscious of this stuff in game initially, so we can start making it functional habit. But in this situation, the only reason we come in here, like I said, for demo, to disrupt a lane, right? But in this situation, we can tell this is a very clear just 1v1 between Ruby and Sammy, so we want to give him a little bit of space. So coming over here instead would have given us a lot better of an angle. Maybe Ruby even is able to go for it again because of that, but when we're sitting under the ball, we make it very, very difficult, like a lot more difficult than it would need to be. Yeah, so once again, right here in this situation, another air roll. Also, we could tell, once again, shaky jump, okay? Definitely could have kept some of that momentum. A lot of players, they over break in these situations, or they don't break enough. That's some of the most common things that I see in this rank range. Really solidify your jump off the ground. That is arguably, that is one of the most important parts of going for anything in the air, because if you don't set your momentum correctly, it's typically going to be inconsistent, right? And we can see, because he did that, he's not able to fully go for the ball as best he wanted to. We could have gotten a lot more value out of that play also. Reducing that air roll, once again, that would have been good. I like the angle that we're playing there initially, Ruby. That's really good. Take a nice light touch here. I don't disagree with this. Ends up getting bumped. That's okay. I don't disagree. Once again, plays this a little slow. I like that. That's a really good idea. Could have executed better, but I really like the idea of that. Okay. Look at ideal. Okay, so this is the curse of movement, actually. So yeah, as soon as we got in this position, okay, this is really tough. So let's go back. We have to go back even further. In this situation, we can literally just play dynamically from in here. Okay, we don't need to push out at all in this situation, really. So we could play dynamically. We could play dynamically because Ruby's still in the corner, right? We don't need to push into the corner if our teammate still has coverage in the corner. The only reason you'd need to do this is if your teammate wasn't able to go for it, which your teammate did get bumped, but they were still in the corner and there was no offensive option on your net. So you didn't need to push out, right? Really important. We still could have been playing right here. So when this happens, you can tell this is way easier to deal with than like sitting right here, right? This is not very ideal. Sorry. Yeah, so in this situation, coming out from here would have been better, but we just need to recognize spaces where, like, we just need to let our teammates play it, right? Like, if your teammate can play the coverage, just let them play the coverage. This is going to be a lot better too. Like, if you're really concerned about teammates, you know, and you're just getting awful teammates, what you can do is you just need to play your role better. That's literally it. Just play your role better and let your teammates go. Okay, if your teammates want to go, let them. If they want to cut, let them, because they're going to end up using a lot of their boost and you're going to keep a lot of your boost. Okay, so and that's going to be naturally really helpful if you kind of want to quote unquote carry out of your rank. Now listen here, I know a lot of you champs got problems though, okay? A lot of you guys got problems, so it's not always your teammates, but I've always said in this game that it's really important to keep yourself accountable for stuff that's actually your fault and keep your teammates accountable for stuff that's their fault. I feel like, oh my god, what a save! Anyway, I feel like when players just say like, oh, everything is my fault, you know, that's just not true. Okay, and I think when we do that, we start fixing mistakes that aren't even ours, and it leads to really bad habits in our gameplay or a lot of compensatory behavior. So, you know, what's your fault is your fault. What's your teammate's fault is their fault. It is definitely the most holistic way to view it, I would suppose. But oh yeah, so like I said earlier, I already said that this player would have a lot of these issues. Look at that foundation, right? We were really shaky coming off, used a lot more boost than was necessary. Lots of air roll. Reduce this, guys. You will play so much better. You will play immediately better. All right. Sammy, trying to come off wall. This is fine. Yeah, no, that's played pretty well by Sammy. Definitely could have been a little bit better. We can tell still, you know, really stiff. Getting into those rings maps is going to be really good. Okay, wait. Sammy, relax, brother. No, listen. In this situation, just play this a little slower. You're playing, we're playing up as if this is gonna come out, or like this is gonna come out. That's not the case, right? We know that immediately Rezi only has this little option here. Okay, so knowing that, it's like if you push too far in, you're probably asking to just have to come back out. To be honest, only if you were already up here. Like, would this make any sense? But don't push all the way up here, right? Like, it's too late to be up there in this situation. So just playing from back here, we can tell we can play this really dynamically, where we can either sit here and just play this bang head on, which I don't recommend, okay? Because you're not gonna always be able to read it, but you're gonna be able to play really dynamically here. So maybe we're already hitting a turn in this situation, and then maybe we're like right here, we're coming back. You can see you immediately jumping in this lane. This guy's lane is cut off. You're gonna have options to wall. You're gonna let your teammate come out, but because we pushed so far in initially, it's like we lost a lot of those options, and now it's going to be a little bit harder for you. We should end up getting out of it. Really good by Rezi in that situation. That's fine. Just try and play 50 here. He tried to force something. Look, sometimes you don't have to force something, okay? In this situation, as soon as this came out, we already knew this was really close, okay? We knew that there was someone right there. If we just would have jumped up and played a 50, that could have been really good in this situation. It would allow our teammate to come up, maybe have options on the ball. Now, granted, if you play that in some situations, maybe it gives the other team options, but it's all about gauging space in that situation. You need to gauge space. You need to understand how much time you have and how much time you don't. Okay, yeah, but once again, look at that stiffness on the jump here, okay? Look at this. I'm going to slow it down. Everyone, you probably see it already, but when you put it in slow motion, you really see it. Look at this. We can see that this initial movement here of correction isn't happening until maybe like a half a second after the jump, or even a full second after the jump, and that's causing this small amount of like discrepancy, and where if we would have played this jump better, we probably could have gotten the ball not only over him but also in this direction, which would have been really important. All right, let's unslow. There we go. This is okay. Oh, now you got to put a hand up. Don't make things harder for your teammates. Just jump. Just jump. Literally just jump. Okay. In this situation, just jump. Because this, we don't want to put our teammates in a worse position than we could. Okay. This is a lot. He almost ends up hitting it, but in this situation, playing this slower gives a lot of options. This is very dependent on that player being incompetent, because if Ideal is a better player, there's no way that he sits there with that amount of boost and just lets this player go to backboard. 100% this is going to get clipped before it even gets to backboard if we're playing against better players. So we can't rely on this in the lower ranks. Play this a little slower. Honestly, if you wanted to play this slow and just go for an air dribble bump, you could have done that perfectly in this situation. This is prime time to do that. That would have been really good. My main point here is that you have a lot of options, and you shouldn't just, do one of these predetermined options, because once you play against better players, it's going to be way harder to get away with doing stuff like that. This is the type of stuff that would keep a player in this rank, I'd say. I think Sammy needs to do significantly less motions, because mechanically we're just not in a position where we're doing that stuff consistently, right? So trying to execute in such an overcomplicated way, it's just going to bring inconsistencies into your gameplay. I like these looks though. Those looks are good. We're doing this shadow thing. I actually talked about this, but Ruby is literally not doing anything, and we're looking at Ruby. So simultaneously as we're looking, we should also be slowing. And if we did that, we're like right here in this area, which is way different. But notice the shadow. Okay, a lot of players in the lower ranks, they overshadow. Okay, you need to understand how much space you have and what options the other team has. In this situation, Ruby can't do anything, so you moving forward anymore with the amount of boost you have is going to put you in a worse position. Now Ruby has all this space. Now Ruby can get this turn in and everything. Now Ruby is able to get that 50 because we weren't there previous. Could have made things way easier on us. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, I like that. Played that distance. That's going to be really good. Yeah. Now we're going to immediately see that 1v1 happen between Rezi and Ideal, right? But it's because Sammy played this a little slow. He set it up properly, and then he was able to play this really good 50. I like that a lot. Okay. Getting jiggy with it. Discoing down the field. Yeah, Sammy already playing this really fast. This is a very common issue, but it's like in this situation, if you can just play a small touch, you know what? I'm gonna give it to you, Sammy, because I can tell you're kind of looking for something that I'm talking about, but you just executed it poorly. So I'm gonna give it to you, right? But definitely want to slow down in those situations and really, really make sure that we're setting that touch up correctly, because that touch is gonna be really important. Okay, Sammy's doing a lot here. So in this situation, I can see what's going on. I think a misread just happened out of Sammy here. I don't think Sammy thought he was gonna touch like ceiling here, so jumps down and an ideal is there. You know, I'll just give it. Oh, okay. That was really close. Wait, how long was? Oh, okay. So yeah, in this situation, since Sammy is kind of just sitting there, it's better for Rezi to just play a little bit more time. I see this as a common thing, and honestly, we can sit here and say that Sammy could have left and that Rezi could have came in here. Sure, okay, but that's not how things always work in the lower ranks. You know, that's more of a something we could talk about in the higher ranks. But you know, when we're sitting in champ, it's like, just let your teammates zone the area, because you really don't know whether they're going to go again. Okay. Unless they're being very clear with it, just give them a little bit of space. Okay. Just don't be super passive though. I want to clarify that. Don't be super passive, but if they have a chance to turn in again, just be wary of it, okay? Because they might just do it. So instead of playing it like this, I think us like zoning this area back here and like facing in this way would have been better. But you can see when we pull up right here, it leaves all this space, and this could not be good in some situations. So definitely keep that in mind. It could have been a goal in this situation, but okay, there is a player there. Ooh, I like that. I like that he knew there was a player there. Tried to play it a little bit higher. That's really good. Oh my gosh. Ideal slam that. Oh, careful. Okay. So in this situation, yeah, no. I could kind of see that something was gonna come out here, but we need to understand where players are. Okay, this is big. If we knew how much space we had here, we don't play it like this, because now Ideal is 100% getting something there. Yeah, now we're way super out of play. I mean, it's just gonna be a 1v1, but but Sammy's getting faked out of his mind. No, not Sammy. No, that was a clean. No, that was a clean fake. Poor Sammy. No, that was really well played by Ideal. I like that a lot, actually. All right, let's see how this is played. Okay. We got an OT. Dude, this video feels like it's already been really long. I don't know. It just might be my perception of time, actually. I just be yapping. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. So, in this situation, I don't know what... Okay. Rezi... Okay. So, as we go up here, just popping the ball out without jumping would have been significantly better. When you jump like this with no boost, your recovery time is going to be horrendous, okay? Just try and pop this out if you're going to do so for your teammate. Do not try and jump. We're going to be falling to the ground for a minute, which makes what Sammy is doing, you know, this is really risky, right? Because there is a player that technically could have jumped a lot sooner. And, you know, let's look at this from Ideal, but it's like, in this situation, Ideal should have already been in the air, right? But I think Ideal is too, like, hyper fixated on Rezi in this situation that he doesn't even notice Sammy. And then now he notices Sammy, and then he's like, oh, man, I have to jump. But this just happened way slower. And then Sammy should have played this a lot slower. You know, tried to, you know, I like the disengagement of boost, but initially it could have played that just a little bit slower. We don't want to play it too slow because we don't want to get beat, right? But just focusing on more of that control. I like this from Sammy. It's really good so far. That's okay. Okay, whoa, Rezi, whoa. Okay, whoa. So I can already tell that we could have slowed a bit more. So in this situation, like how we're playing this, right, is we really have zero clue what's going to happen here, right? So this is a good amount of like cushion. And then boom. Right? You wouldn't have even had to turn around. But because we're turned around, we can't really go that confidently. But let's talk about the turnaround as well. Let's say we do turn around, okay? Ideal doesn't have control of the ball, so we can slow down a little bit. If we would have done that, Oh, okay. If we would have done that, we actually probably would have gotten scored on. Yeah, we don't slow down that much, but give a little bit of space. I didn't even really expect Sammy to go again like that in that situation, which is why when I said earlier that oh wow, Sammy is out of there. Sammy is out of there so quick. But anyway, like I was saying earlier, that's why giving a little bit of space when you have your teammates there, they could go again. That is super duper important. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like, please leave a comment, and please subscribe. I will see you in the next one.